day, and we couldn't do it without you. Now, coming up is a very important film. 1 in 4 people in this country live with some kind of mental health problem at some time in their lives. And I think it's hard to find a family that doesn't have experience of it, and yet it's still often hidden away as an issue, and people find it very difficult to talk about it. The Comic Relief works with hundreds of projects in this area and is absolutely committed to improving things, and it really is time for a change.
Somebody knows me first as Liz, and then I might say I'm a doctor, and then I'll say, oh, and I've had some mental health problems.
Paranoid schizophrenic.
Anorexia.
Borderline personality disorder.
Self-harming.
Schizoaffective disorder.
Clinical depression.
It's not a good line. Hi, I'm Lizzie, I'm manic depressive.
Nutter.
Psycho.
Weirdo.
Mad.
If I break my leg, you can see that it's in a cast. If I'm suffering from depression, you can't see that.
Do you know why it's called cracking up? Because you feel like you're cracking. Your head is cracking into millions of bits.
I've been sectioned round about 10 or 11 times now, although I'm hasten to add I'm not going for any kind of record.
I get a lot of swearing in my head, and, you know, I wake up every morning to stupid effing bitch.
I kind of went to GP with it written on a piece of paper in the third person. Dawn has been shouting Gandalf all weekend, and slid it across the table. It was a eureka moment, because then I knew what was going on. I knew what monster I was dealing with.
People often feel that it's self-indulgent.
These are people who haven't had depression.
It just kills you inside.
1 in 4 people will have a mental health issue, you know, and that's somebody you'll know, somebody you care about.
My parents thought it was probably best to keep me at home because of the stigma of the mental illness and what the neighbours might think.
Once it was in a newspaper, and I was so appalled, I grabbed it out of everybody's hand and said, they're making that up.
A person's mental health symptoms are not the person.
The person likes me for who they think I am, but what would happen if they knew who I really was?
People come up to me waving a finger at me, you're a bomb pot.
I would tell people I was gay, right, that was easier.
I've had eggs thrown at my door.
For about 2 years, really, every time I went out of my front door, I get either verbal or physical abuse.
Someone said that my mum was a psychopath.
They gained some sort of credit for beating the psycho up.
One of the questions was, would you be happy living next door to someone with a history of mental health problems? And one woman turned to me and went, I really wouldn't, but only because I've got children. And I said to her, why? Why would that make any difference? I'm pretty sure we don't eat babies.
We need to dispel this myth that we're all crazy mad axe murderers. The only person I've ever harmed is myself.
It's an awful feeling. It's like nobody likes you or loves you.
Nobody really wanted to touch me with a barge pole as soon as they heard I had a mental illness.
Some people think that John's mad and that he's going to, you know, attack them or to attack their children, so they keep their children away from my children.
Mental illness? I mean, what? I mean, we've got... Would we live without Churchill?
Abraham Lincoln.
Marie Curie. Charles Darwin.
Florence Nightingale.
He was just my brother, and he wasn't my brother the schizophrenic. It came as a real shock to me when he took his own life.
You go to the hospital expecting to see somebody else's son.
Suicide is the biggest killer of young men under 40 in this country.
It's the end of your world. It's like someone's taken a piece of you away. You don't ever expect to outlive your children.
The Butterfly Project, funded by Comic Relief, has meant so much to me, because without them I wouldn't even be here.
The local projects supported by Comic Relief are absolutely vital. They provide a social lifeline to people who are very vulnerable and frequently extremely isolated.
Comic Relief really has, through the project that I'm working on, turned my life around.
I'm much more communicative now because of my depression. I'm more appreciative of simple things, so when it's a sunny day or when you're driving along and there's a field full of flowers.
I think it's made me a nicer person, much more tolerant.
And I'm not scared of being bipolar. I'm not scared of it anymore.
As far as I know a normal life to be, I live a normal life.
It's actually not a bad thing to be believing.
Don't shun us. You know, we are just like everybody else.
Does that ring any bells with you at home? Our huge thanks to everyone in that film. And let's be honest, all of us here know someone with mental health problems. All of us know how incredibly hard it can make life. and how incredibly unfair attitudes towards mental illness can be. And it would be fantastic if tonight you could actually give some money to projects that are doing extraordinary things in this very complicated area. And it affects us all, whether it's our family or our friends or even ourselves. And tonight you can help change things for the better, so please do.